All right, good evening, everyone. We're starting a couple minutes early, so we'll be heading into the national anthem in just a second here. Here we go. All right, thank you for joining us tonight. We have a meet here between the Chenango Forks girls, varsity swimming and diving team, and the Windsor girls swimming and diving team, their varsity team as well. So we will be starting off with the medley relay in just a minute. If someone could go ahead and just toss the link to this video onto our Facebook page so that parents can find it easily, I'd appreciate that. I can't do it from this computer because Facebook's blocked on the school network. So if someone could do that for me, I'd appreciate it, just so parents that are looking for the link can hop right in. So in tonight's meet, Chenango Forks will be in lanes 1, 2, and 3, and Windsor will be in lanes 4, 5, and 6. The names of the swimmers are up there at the top of your screen. I'll read them out for you in just a minute once we get started. Chenango Forks has 2 relay teams. Windsor's going to have 1. So we're starting with backstrokers stepping into the water. They're going to be doing 50 yards of backstroke to start off this relay. So this event is 200 yards long. That's 8 lengths of the pool. We have 4 swimmers per team participating. So you have 1 swimmer from each team doing 50 yards of backstroke. That's down and back. When they touch, the next swimmer up will do breaststroke, followed by butterfly, and finally freestyle. We have the names of each swimmer up at the top as well as the stroke they are swimming. Coming in right now, it's Forks and Windsor, very, very close in lanes 3 and 4. Got Allison Dell in backstroke, and you've got Bakari Ellie in lane 4 for Windsor. We're off the blocks, and it's Anna Hillis for Chenango Forks in lane 3. Next to her in lane 4 from Windsor, you have Denise Kobe. And then in lane 2 from Chenango Forks, Olivia McPeak. That was Sam Williams in the backstroke for Chenango Forks in lane 2. So Windsor pulling ahead a little bit in the breaststroke here. It'll be Marissa Figueroa from Chenango Forks trying to make up some of that gap in the butterfly here. But ahead of her already, it's Dakota Payne from Windsor. And then we have Stephanie Hall in lane 2 going to be doing butterfly for that relay from Chenango Forks. Marissa making up a little bit of ground for Forks, but it's quite a big gap that Windsor was able to get on the breaststroke leg there, thanks to Denise Kobe's swimming. So now, finishing up the relay, you have Scout Lewis from Windsor up there in lane 4. Chasing her is Victoria Austin from Chenango Forks, Tori Austin. And then coming in here again, we have Steph Hall down in lane 2, finishing her 50-yard butterfly. And Angie Forster will be doing the 50-yard freestyle as she finishes that up. So there's Steph Hall on the wall and Angie Forster in the water in lane 2. And it is Windsor winning the 200-yard medley relay. So for those of you keeping score at home, relays, only the top 3 places are scored, whereas in individual events, it's the top 5. So for this relay, Windsor will win 8 points for first place, and Chenango Forks will win 4 for second place and 2 for third. So in a relay, first place is worth more than second and third combined. That is not true in individual events. A lot of times in individual events, coaches are okay with getting second and third place because that's worth more points than just getting first. So great times. We'll throw up the times for you there. It was Windsor in first place with a time of 2:16.54. Officials deliberating over something. Next up, we have the 200-yard freestyle. We have Anna Hillis from Forks in lane 2, Gabby Backman from Forks in lane 3, Anna DeJohn from Windsor in lane 4, and Anna Hines from Windsor in lane 5. We have 3 Annas in this race. So if you want to cheer for someone, just cheer for Anna. Or Gabby, she's in here too. Oh, we've got a sudden change up. It looks like Anna DeJohn isn't here, and Anna Hines will be switching. So I'm going to do my best to adjust that for you guys here as the race gets started. So there's only one swimmer from Windsor here in this event. So adjusting the seed times for you now, that should accurately reflect what we're looking at. So in lane 2 and lane 3 from Chenango Forks, Gabby Backman and Anna Hillis, very evenly matched based on seed time alone. That said, Anna Hillis off to an early lead out here in lane 2. Anna is a junior and has been swimming distance for quite some time, so a little bit of experience in this race. In both the 200 and the 500, she's gone to sectionals in these races as well. Gabby Backman, a new freshman to the team, but with some experience swimming some distance at the modified level, so certainly not a stranger to this race. And then Anna Hines out there in lane 4 for Windsor. Now in this race, each athlete is expected to do 8 laps of freestyle. So right now, everyone just finished their 3rd lap, and they're coming into the 100-yard mark about halfway through. Anna Hillis holding onto her lead so far. Gabby Backman comfortably behind her. And then Anna Hines out there in lane 4 for Windsor, still doing great. So these laps right here, laps 5, 6, 7, typically considered the hardest part of the race. As you come into the final lap of your race, you can sort of turn on the gas and use whatever you got left. But that stretch in the middle, it's very, very hard to pace yourself. Even with some experience in this race, it's just hard to find the energy because the 200-yard freestyle is considered a sprint in the same way, if you're familiar with track, that the 800 is considered a sprint in track and field. It's not a fun sprint. It lasts a couple minutes, and it's certainly difficult to sprint that full distance, but that is what athletes are aiming for, assuming they are conditioned to do so. This year has not been friendly for conditioning, I'm sure, for many teams. So we've got Anna Hillis pushing through, using what energy she's got left there in lane 2. Gabby Backman closing the gap a little bit in lane 3, but Anna will comfortably finish first with a great time of 2:26, a significant drop from her seed time. A great race from Gabby Backman, also dropping some time from what she has done previously, so a personal best there. And Anna Hines out there in lane 4 closing on. We're closing in. Looks like she will be right around what her seed time placed her at. So it's always good to see, especially in these distance races. Consistency is very important. So let's pull up those times for you here. And there you go. First place Forks, 2:26.92. Now there, in individual events, the scoring goes first place 6 points, second place 4, third place 3, fourth place 2, and fifth place 1, sixth place receiving 0 points. So Forks would have scored 10 points there to Windsor's 3 in that event. That is not a cumulative score just for that event. Next up is the 200-yard individual medley. The 200-yard IM. So for Chenango Forks, in lane 2, you have Olivia McPeak, and in lane 3, Marissa Figueroa. Then in lane 4, Dakota Payne, and in lane 5, Giovanna Bucarielli. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize if I'm not. So this, similar to the medley relay, swimmers have to do all 4 strokes. The difference is this time each swimmer is expected to do all 4 by themselves. They don't have a whole relay team to figure that out. So the order of the strokes is 50 yards butterfly, 50 yards backstroke, 50 yards breaststroke, 50 yards freestyle, in that order. It needs to be in that order. So Marissa Figueroa off to an early lead. Considered a very strong butterflyer, so we expect to see that. Also pretty good at backstroke, so holding on to that lead over Dakota from Windsor. And then down in lanes 2 and 5, we have a very close race between Olivia and Giovanna. Now, the official did just raise her hand, signifying that someone got disqualified, but I wasn't watching closely enough to see exactly who that would have been. I'm sure we will find out soon. Okay, here's Marissa's breaststroke. So Marissa seeded to win this event, but you never know what's going to happen. She is out in first place right now for Forks. And chasing behind her, Dakota Payne from Windsor. So as they touch, the swimmers are going to be transitioning into 50 yards of freestyle. Technically, probably the easiest stroke, but at this point in your race, you don't have a lot of energy left, so you're just pouring whatever you can in and trying to get as fast of a 50 freestyle as you can. Still a close race between Olivia and Giovanna, although Giovanna having the lead right now, so it'll come down to how much energy they each have left for the 50 freestyle at the end of this race. And here is Marissa Figueroa coming into the wall, going to finish right around her seed time, maybe a second or two slower, but again, we like to see that consistency in these longer races. So 2:35.01 is a great time, just, hundredths of a second plus 1 second over her seed time. And then you have Dakota Payne again coming in consistent with her seed time, just a couple seconds off. A good race from those two ladies. Marissa coming in first, Dakota coming in second. It is going to be Giovanna coming in third here for Windsor, and Olivia finishing last. But because the only place to not earn points would be sixth place, there are only 4 swimmers in this race. All 4 swimmers will earn points. Again, there was a disqualification. I don't know exactly who that was for yet, but we'll find out and give you that information soon. So we will end up with 3 athletes being scored in this event out of the 4 that swam. Great race from all 4 ladies. Here is the results. Up next, we have Heat 1 of the 50-yard freestyle. Heat 1 of the 50-yard freestyle. There will be 2 heats of this event. In this race, the swimmers just have to go down and back. It's considered a sprint. Everyone's favorite event to do, just a sprint freestyle in and out as fast as you can get. We've got closest to us here in lane 2, Jessica Hall, right above her, Jocelyn Hall in lane 3. Then Erin Wilson in lane 4, and Emily Wilson out there in lane 5. And they're up. It's like Erin lost her cap and goggles off the start there, so she was having some obstruction with her view, so chose to just pull the cap and goggles off of her face so that it wasn't blocking either her face or her eyes or mouth. Sometimes that happens when you jump in, the goggles get in the way of your breathing. And it, a lot of times we encourage swimmers not to adjust their goggles at all once they're in the water, but if they're covering your mouth and making it hard to breathe, there's certainly an exception to that. So Emily Wilson coming along very well out there in lane 5, coming into the wall, looking to drop some time from her seed. About a second faster than her personal best. Lane 2, Jess Hall also dropping a significant amount of time. So great race from those ladies. Up next, we will have Heat 2 of the 50-yard freestyle. Heat 2. This time we'll have swimmers from both Windsor and Forks. Again, Windsor is typically in lanes 4 through 6, Forks lanes 1 through 3. So here we have Tori Austin in lane 1 from Forks, Sam Williams in lane 2, Angie Forster in lane 3, Denise Kobe from Windsor in lane 4, McKenna Decker from Windsor in lane 5, and Annalena Calandra from Windsor in lane 6. Seed times displayed at the top. One noticeable difference from modified to varsity: when there are 2 heats of an event in modified, the fastest 5 swimmers, with a maximum of 3 per team, can score regardless of what heat they're in. But in varsity, you have to be in the final heat to score, which is this heat. So even if one of the ladies from Forks from the previous heat were faster than any of the 3 in this heat, they would be already considered what we call exhibition, unable to score. It is Denise Kobe off to a solid start and a solid finish for Windsor in lane 4, followed very closely by Angie Forster, Sam Williams, and Tori Austin, all coming in close together. Angie dropping about a second from her seed time. So you like to see that. And everyone else relatively consistent. So we'll throw those times up there for you. Sorry if I forgot to zoom in on the times from Heat 1. I don't remember if I did that. But here's the results of Heat 2. Windsor coming in first place. Up next will be diving. So we're going to be moving the flags so that the divers don't hit those, moving the lane line under one of the diving boards and lowering that board. The divers certainly don't come off at that angle. And each diver will be doing a couple minutes of warm-up and then 6 dives. Now this week, they're required to do a forward dive as their first dive with a maximum degree of difficulty of, I think, 1.6 or 1.8, somewhere in there. Beyond that, the remaining 5 dives can be any category they want, any degree of difficulty they want. The only rule is that throughout those dives, they have to hit several more categories. The categories include back dives, where they stand on the edge of the board and dive backwards, inward dives, where they stand on the edge of the board and dive towards the board, or a reverse dive, where they approach the board from in a normal forward position and then in the air rotate backwards. There are also twists, where they do any of those 4 positions, as well as spinning through the air laterally. So we'll see several dives from several different categories, 6 dives total. And again, the rule here is that the first dive this week Actually, it might not be forward dives. Let me check on that. It's forward dives from modified, but this is not modified, so it might be reverse. I have been corrected. The required dive this week is a twist dive, a twist dive. So we will be seeing that. I'm going to just adjust the camera here so it's focused a little bit more on the diving board. We will put that back after diving has completed. And during the diving warm-ups, we're just going to go ahead and mute. I'm going to go down to the pool deck, check on that disqualification, and bring those results back to you in a couple minutes. All right, so I am back. There were two disqualifications. The Chenango Forks B medley relay got disqualified, as well as Olivia McPeak from Chenango Forks in lane 2 got disqualified in the 200-yard IM, both for one-handed touches during breaststroke. So you can't do that. So up first we have Stephanie Hall here diving. So again, the required dive of the week has to be a twist. So they will do that first. That was Stephanie's. And the scores are 5, 5.5, and 5. Up next will be Annalena from Windsor. She's going to do a 52-21D, a back dive with one somersault and a half of a twist. The free position, meaning she can sort of do this in any form she wants as long as she gets the back somersault and one half twist in before she gets into the water here. That said, there is a good way to do this and a bad way to do this. So I'm sure it looks like she knows what she's doing. She's up there on the end of the board. Pressing. There it is. Half a twist and a full somersault on her back. The judges will give her a 5.5, a 4.5, and a 6. Great work, Annalena. Up next is Allison Dell from Chenango Forks, also doing a twist dive first, as is required.
Allison's first dive will be a 51-22D. A forward, one somersault, one twist in the free position, degree of difficulty 1.8.
So she's doing a forward somersault with a half twist, free position, degree of difficulty 1.8. Actually, that would have been a full somersault and a full twist. I misspoke. So judges scores 4.5, 3.5, and 4. So slightly lower scores, but a higher DD than the previous divers. So the way that works is you take the 3 scores from the judges, add them together, and then you multiply that cumulative score times the degree of difficulty to get a score per dive. Kaylee will be doing a back dive with a half of a twist in the straight position. So she's not in the free position. She actually has to keep her body in a specific shape during this whole dive. Very nicely done. The judges will give her a 4.5, a 5, and a 4. All these scores coming up a maximum of 10, but it is atypical to see anything beyond a 7 at this level of competition in a dual meet. Every once in a while, you'll come across an exceptional diver, and you'll see him throw up some scores higher up than that, 7.5s, 8s, things like that, but it's not often. So Stephanie's second dive was a forward, one somersault, one twist. The judges will give her a 5, a 4.5, and a 5. Great work, Stephanie. Up next, Annalena from Windsor doing her second dive.
Annalena's next dive is a 103B. A forward, 1.5 somersault.
She'll be doing a forward 1.5 in the pike position. So she has to bend over at the hips without letting her knees bend. A forward 1.5 somersault here. Very nice. A tiny bit of over rotation at the end, but overall a great job. The judges will give her a 4, a 5, and a 5. Good work.
Allison's next dive is a 103C. A forward, 1.5 somersault in the tuck position.
Allison will be doing the same dive, but in the tuck position. So a forward 1.5 in the tuck position. So instead of bending over at the hip, she's going to tuck herself into a ball and do her 1.5 somersaults that way. Very nicely done. So the pike position will give you a higher degree of difficulty, which is a higher multiplier, but it is harder to do. The scores are 5, 5.5, and 5.5 for Allison there. And Kaylee will be going last here in round 2. She'll be doing a 51-21, which is a forward 1 somersault and a half of a twist on it. The D is a free position, so again, she can let her body go into any position she needs to get this dive around. So well done. Something the judges are going to look at is that her toes didn't come quite to the edge of the board, but that's perfectly okay. She'll get a 4.5, a 5, and a 3.5 from the judges there. So to some extent here, diving is subjective. It's up to the judges how they want to score it. Obviously, there are parameters that they work within, and there are things they will give divers points for and things they will take points off for. This is Stephanie's third dive. That was a forward 1.5 in the pike position. Very well done. And the judges see it. They'll give her a 5.5, a 6.5, and a 6. So great work, Stephanie. Annalena will be up next from Windsor with her third dive. 201A, that's just a back dive in the straight position. Very well done. Interesting piece of information here. A back dive and a back somersault are the same degree of difficulty. The judges will give her a 5.5, a 5.5, and a 4.5. So again, the back dive and the back somersault are the same level of difficulty there. So Annalena going for the dive. It's actually very easy to over-rotate that, but she managed to keep it straight. So great work from her. This will be Allison's third dive. That was an inward dive in the tuck position. The judges will give her a 6, a 7, and a 6. Very well done. So high scores, but low degree of difficulty. So still great scores. She'll still get a lot of points for that. Now it's Kaylee's turn to do a 1.5 in the pike position. Very popular dive among these ladies today. Very well done. Let's see what the judges give her. She got a 5.5, a 6, and a 5.5. Great work, Kaylee. That's the end of the third round of diving. We're now starting the fourth round here with Steph Hall again. A 301B, that's reverse in the pike position. So she will approach the board forward, but then in the air, pike her body and rotate backwards. A lot harder than it sounds, and it sounds pretty hard. Incredible. Very well done. Nice height, good pike position. The judges will give her a 4.5, a 6, and a 6.5. So pretty good scores across the board there for Steph. That was a 1.7 degree of difficulty dive. So Annalena's next dive will be a 202A. So this is a back somersault in a straight position. Again, the same degree of difficulty as the back dive she just did. But this time she obviously has to do a full half rotation more than last time. Very well done. Lines it up well, comes straight down. The judges will give her a 5.5, a 5, and a 5.5. So again, 5.5, 5, and 5.5.
Allison's next dive is a
So
201A,
Allison will be up
a
next.
back dive in the straight position, degree of difficulty 1.7.
Back dive in the straight position. Degree of difficulty 1.7. Bit of over rotation there, but still a good dive. The judges will give her a 4, a 4.5, and a 4.5. Kaylee will be going next to conclude the 4th of 6 rounds of diving.
An inward dive in the pike position, degree of difficulty.
So a 401B is an inward dive in the pike position. So she'll start facing backwards, but then roll towards the board here for half of a somersault in the pike position. So again, she'll bend at the hips, reach for her ankles, and then come out and go in hands and head first. So she's asking the table to repeat the dive. They're allowed to do that. So an inward dive in the pike position, they repeat it for her. It's always good to ask the table to repeat it if you're unsure, because if you do the wrong dive, you will get a failed dive and a score of 0. Very well executed from Kaylee there. The judges will give her a 5.5, a 6.5, and a 6. So it's a good thing she went ahead and stopped and asked. Again, we want to see divers double check if they're unsure, because it's certainly better than trying to remember, getting it wrong, and failing the dive. So here's Stephanie's inward in the pike position. Degree of difficulty 1.5 again. It's the same dive that Kaylee just did. Very well done. And the judges know it. They'll give her a 6, a 7, and a 6.5. Great work, Steph.
Annalita's next dive will be a 302C, a reverse, 1 somersault in the tuck position, degree of difficulty 1.6.
So Annalita's next dive will be a reverse somersault, full somersault. So again, she'll approach the board forward and then rotate a full somersault backwards while going forwards. In the tuck position, I believe. Very well done. The judges will give her a 5, a 5.5, and a 5. All 4 divers keeping it pretty close here. I'm not keeping track of score manually today, but good scores from all of them, similar degrees of difficulty from all of them, so this will be pretty close so far. So Allison is up next with her 5th dive from Chenango Forks. A reverse dive in the tuck position. The judge will give her a 4.5, 4.5, and a 4.5. Kaylee will be wrapping up the penultimate round of diving here. The back dive in the straight position. Degree of difficulty for this dive should be 1.7. Very well done. The judges will give her a 5.5, a 5, and a 5. That's the end of the 5th round of diving, and Steph will be going again first in the last round of diving here.
A 402C, an inward, 1 somersault in the tuck position, degree of difficulty 1.6.
So it was an inward somersault in the tuck position. Degree of difficulty 1.6. Well done. The judges will give her a 5, a 5, and a 4.
5, 4.
Annalena will be wrapping up Windsor's contribution to diving here with an inward one somersault in the tuck position of 402C. The degree of difficulty will be 1.6. Very well done. The judges will give her a 4.5, a 5, and a 5.5. That concludes diving for Annalena and Windsor. We've still got Allison and Kaylee from Chenango Forks. Allison will be doing a 302C. That's a somersault in the reverse tuck position. So again, moving forward, flipping backwards, a full somersault in the tuck position. Degree of difficulty will be 1.6. The judges will give her a 5.5, a 5, and a 6. Great job. And Kaylee will be the final diver here from Forks.
Kaylee's final dive will be a 202A.
We'll be doing a 202A, a back somersault in the tuck, or excuse me, the straight position. A is straight position. So we have 1.7 degree of difficulty. Very well done. The judges will give her a 6, 4.5, and 4.5. So that'll wrap up diving. We'll get those scores to you soon. Now, at the end of the day, in terms of scoring for the meets, the first place diver will get 6 points for their team. Second place will get 4, third place 3, fourth place 2. There was no fifth and sixth divers, so we'll stop there. So as nice as it would be to take their, 100+ point scores and add those onto the team scores, that's not how that works. So diving just counts sort of towards, the normal scoring of any individual event. So in a 6-lane pool, that's 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Great work for them. So right now we have a 10-minute warm-up for the teams. They're going to be warming up, and then we'll get back to swimming in a couple minutes. So expect to be back around 6:19, 6:20 in case they end that warm-up a little bit early for the 100-yard butterfly. See you soon. All right, we should be clearing the pool in just a second here for the 100-yard fly. The results of diving are in first place from Chenango Forks, Stephanie Hall. In second place from Chenango Forks, Kaylee Young. In third place from Windsor, Annalena Calandra. And in fourth place from Chenango Forks, Allison Dell. So there's the call to clear the pool, and we will begin preparing for the 100-yard butterfly. Now, in no way is this the official score, but if my math is keeping up here, what I have the current score at is Chenango Forks 41, Windsor 28. Definitely helped us to have 3 divers to Windsor's 1. But again, that's not the official score. That's just me keeping track on a paper towel here. So I did get the 2 disqualifications from earlier in the meet, but anything I missed in that regard or any order of finish that I got wrong might affect that score. So we got Josie in lane 2 from Chenango Forks and Marissa in lane 3 from Chenango Forks. Then in lane 4 from Windsor, Dakota, and in lane 5, Giovanna. You see very, very close seed times here for Marissa and Dakota. So we can expect this to be a pretty close race. Marissa off to an early lead off of a fast start and a good streamline. We'll see if she has the endurance to hold on. Marissa does have pretty good endurance as a 200-yard IMer, but she lost a little bit of ground on that turn. Dakota with a tight streamline making up a little bit of that gap. But again, looks like in the middle of the pool here, what we call between the flags, Marissa's building a little bit of a lead. We just have to see if Dakota can keep getting her on these turns. Meanwhile, out there, it is Giovanna in lane 5 making good time. Coming into the 50-yard mark, just a little bit ahead of Josie from Forks in lane 2. Marissa widening that gap a little bit going into the 75-yard mark here. Doing her final turn. Dakota keeping the race close. But Marissa's got a nice long butterfly stroke and a fast turnover rate. Powerful kick will get her into the wall first. Dakota just behind her. So Marissa 106.95 and Dakota 109.54. So had Marissa gone her seed time, Dakota would have won that, but Marissa also decided to drop time today, swim nice and fast. See Giovanna peeking a little look over there from lane 5, making sure she knows where her opponent is, and she is well ahead of Josie here, coming in third place in lane 5, and then Josie finishing up down here in lane 2 for Chenango Forks. Josie's still going to drop a ton of time, so you like to see that. So great swims from everyone. Order of finish, Forks, first and fourth, 8 points. And Windsor, second and third. That's 7 points for them. They're asking for a backup time for lane 3. That's Marissa's lane, so maybe the 106 that we see up there, 106.9, might not be accurate. Our timing system is quite outdated along with the rest of our pool, so sometimes it does have some problems, but that's why we've got backup timers with stopwatches and buttons to help sort of have a backup in case that system doesn't fire correctly. So here we have Kaylee in lane 1 for Chenango Forks. No time, because she hasn't done this before, so no seed time. Typically a diver, so doing this for the first time. Tori in lane 2, Angie in lane 3. Then from Windsor, Anna Hines in lane 4, Caitlin McLaughlin in lane 5, and McKenna Decker in lane 6. So this race, freestyle or front crawl, technically they can do whatever stroke they want, but you're going to see it front crawl across the board here. That's very, 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 very typical. You almost never see anyone swim anything other than that in the freestyle, although technically they're allowed to. The swimmers will be doing 4 lengths of the pool. It is Angie Forster out to a slight lead, seated a couple seconds ahead of her opponent, Anna Hines from Windsor. And then Tori Austin right up there with Anna Hines as well in lane 2 from Chenango Forks, keeping the race close. You like to see as a coach close races because it pushes swimmers from both teams to go faster. So even if you don't win the close race, you usually like to see it because that's what drives the competition in this sport. Swimmers almost always swim their personal best times when they know someone's fighting them for it. It is Angie Forster off that last turn with a sizable lead of about 2 body lengths ahead. She looks like she's cruising, breathing a whole lot, so definitely tired, but it's a pretty good chunk of a lead, so we expect her to come in here first. Anna Hines from Windsor comfortably in second, widening that gap over Tori Austin just a little bit. And Tori is now fighting for 3rd place with Caitlin McLaughlin out there in lane 5 from Windsor. But pretty decently spread, about a body length between each swimmer. So it is going to be Tori on the wall 3rd, Caitlin 4th, and McKenna 5th. Finally, Kaylee Young, our diver down here in lane 1. Coming in 6th for Chenango Forks. There she is on the wall. Final times are there. So good drops from several of the swimmers. Nice and fast times. For 1st and 3rd place, Forks will get 9 points, and for 2nd, 3rd, second, 4th, and 5th, Windsor will get 7. So here comes the fun, the 500-yard freestyle. We have a clerical error. Give me 1 second here. So first of all, we have a swimmer from Windsor that is not swimming for us today, so we will remove her from the lineup. And then it is in lane 4, Scout Lewis. We accidentally had Gabby Backman in there swimming for both teams. That would not be ideal for us. So we're going to switch that up. Adjust some seed times here. Scout's best time seems to be a 7:18, so we'll put that in for her. 7:18.78 according to Section 4 swim, so we'll get that in there. And now that information should be a little bit more accurate. So we've got Josie in lane 2. Poor Josie just finished swimming a 100-yard butterfly, one of the hardest events in varsity, only to turn around and get back in for the 500-yard freestyle. In this event, all swimmers have to swim 20 lengths of the pool. Quite a long race. They do have counters on the shallow end of the pool. You might see some swimmers kneeling down, holding some plastic plaques with rotating numbers under the water for them. So as the swimmers approach each wall, the counter will let them know which length of the pool they are currently on, counting all the way up to 20. Now, because they're in the shallow end, they'll always show the odd numbers. There's no point in having the even numbers because those would be in the deep end. So it goes 1, 3, 5, 7, all the way up to 19. And on lap 19, instead of saying 19, you're going to see 2 red panels signaling to the swimmer to go all out. That is the final 25 yards of their race when they see that. We have Gabby Backman building up a slight lead here in the 500, but this is one of those races where a whole lot can change throughout the course of the race as swimmers decide to use or conserve energy at different parts. There's a lot of strategy in terms of when you want to go fast and when you want to go slow. Now, in the perfect race, you would see a consistent speed all the way throughout. It's the most efficient usage of energy in this race. And if the swimmers hold on to their current speeds, it will be Gabby continuing to lengthen that gap down there in lane 3 for Chenango Forks. Then it's Scout Lewis and Windsor behind her in 2nd place, and Amelia Jensen in lane 5 from Windsor in 3rd. And finally Josie down here in lane 2 from Forks. So Gabby is just finishing lap 8 out of 20 here. The other thing is, as the first swimmer finishes lap 18 with 150 left, you will hear the horn, the starting horn, go off once, sort of like how you would hear the pistol and track on the last lap of a long race to signify to the athletes that they are approaching the tail end of that race. Again, let's say the counter isn't working or there's water in the swimmer's goggles and they can't read the counter easily. That audio signal will help them sort of judge where they are in the race and know that they're almost done. So you can tell Josie down there in lane 2 is already gassed. No one blames her because she just got out of the 100 fly, but she's doing open turns that'll help her keep some oxygen in her body. Gabby Bachman now halfway done with her race. So is Scout, and right here, Amelia also done with half of the race. 10 laps done, 10 to go. On this building Forks team right now, currently in a stage of rebuilding, you've got freshman Gabby Bachman out to the lead here, and you like to see that. She's still got to finish this season and then 3 more ahead of her. So if she keeps swimming the 500, we hope to see her time continue to drop. Again, she was the winner of the 200-yard freestyle with some distance experience from modified and putting that to good use here at the varsity level where she gets to swim 500. That event doesn't exist in modified. Scout Lewis still in second place from Windsor, followed by Amelia Jensen in third. And then Josie Cornell back here in fourth place. Again, with only 4 swimmers in this event, everyone is guaranteed to score points as long as they do not disqualify. And it is difficult to disqualify in a freestyle event. The only things you are not allowed to do are to use the terrain to a competitive advantage, so something like pulling on the lane lines, pushing off the bottom of the pool, and you are not allowed to miss a wall on a turn without going back. So let's say someone does a turn, a flip turn, their feet miss the wall. That's not even a disqualification as long as that swimmer turns around, touches the wall, and continues to go. So pretty hard to disqualify, so we expect all 4 swimmers here to score points for their respective teams. And it is Gabby still holding the lead out there in first place. She's got 100 yards left, 4 laps left. Scout still behind her. Amelia right behind Scout. The results sort of what we expect based on seed times now. Gabby finishing with 75 yards left and just under 6 minutes right now. So she can hold on to this pace. She's looking to drop a significant chunk of time off of her seed. We just want to see her use what energy she's got left to swim an aggressive 50 yards at the end of this race. There is the horn that I mentioned before, signifying to racers that the front swimmer, the first place swimmer, is finishing their race with 50 yards left. Gabby coming in. Currently the time is at 6:25, so if she can hold on to that pace just a little bit, she's definitely running out of steam, but she can get into that wall with any respectable amount of speed. She will definitely break her personal best. She's got 30 seconds and 25 yards. The crowd's getting loud for her. Scout coming into the last 50 with some energy left, picking up the pace. There's Gabby's arms moving a little faster, increasing her turnover rate coming into the wall. 6:50 on the clock. So looks like we're going to have a 12-second personal best drop from Gabby Bachman and breaking that barrier of 7 minutes for the first time. The big accomplishment. She is clearly pleased as she looks up to the board. Just reading facial expressions there. Looking exhausted but happy with it. Scout coming into the wall now, 7:12, 7:13. You're going to see a consistent time out of Scout right next to her personal best. And following her, Amelia Jensen may drop a couple seconds off of her personal best here, which was 7:30. Yep, you see it, 7:27, a couple seconds for Amelia. Now, the timing board up there is not showing anything for lane 3, but I saw Gabby finish around 6:53. Yep, confirmed from the deck, 6:53, so a big drop for her. Again, a freshman, so still very much figuring out the pacing of this race. Relatively new to it, especially in a season like this where things are very much different than they would be in a normal season. Josie coming in to lap 18 here. She's got 50 yards left. You see the other three swimmers staying in the water right now. There's two reasons for that. One, physical exhaustion. They've just swam 20 lengths as fast as they can, so they're using this time to recover. And the other thing is it's sort of good etiquette to stay in the water until swimmers from all races are done. So we've got Josie finishing up down here, doing her very best and doing well indeed. She will be consistent, just a few seconds off of her personal best. And again, that's very impressive considering she just finished a 100-yard butterfly maybe 5 minutes before this event started. So she's definitely going to be pretty fatigued from that. 8:45 even for Josie. And here are the results. Again, lane 3 should read 6:53. 6 minutes and 53 seconds for Gabby Backman. Big smile on her face because she's happy with that time. Personal best for Windsor out in lane 5 and a consistent time for Scout in lane 4 and Josie in lane 2. They've officially called for a backup time in lane 3, so they know something was wrong with that. All right, up next is the 200-yard freestyle relay. So similar to the relay we saw before, we want to fix that so it's readable. So just give me 1 second here. Drag that down. There we go. Now we've got a background we can read. This event, there are teams of 4, each doing 50 yards of sprint freestyle. In lane 1 from Forks, you have Emily Wilson, Jessica Hall, Jocelyn Hall, and Erin Wilson. Lane 2, Steph Hall, Victoria Austin, Josie Cornell. Man, third event almost in a row for Josie. Poor Josie. And Kaylee Young wrapping up that relay. And then in lane 3, Allison Dell, Anna Hillis, Gabby Backman, and Marissa Figueroa. Now, I will announce the swimmers for Windsor after the start here. I'll be quiet for the start. And they're off. So, for Windsor, it looks like one of their relays did scratch. They're missing someone. So I apologize if this is inaccurate. This was just the information I had from their coach before the start of the meet. But what it should have been was Denise Kobe going first, Giovanna Bucarielli going second, Dakota Payne going third, and Scout Lewis going fourth. We'll see if that's what they end up swimming. Right now, Windsor off to an early lead in this relay. That should have been Denise Kobe, but again, with their scratch relay, they may have moved people around. But swimming second for Forks is Anna Hillis, making up some of that ground. Now, next, you're going to have Gabby Backman coming fresh out of her 500-yard victory there in the 5 freestyle right before this, doing her fastest 50. Hopefully, she's got a little energy left. Anna definitely making some ground up there and giving Forks the lead in lane 3. It's Gabby Backman off the blocks, being chased by Dakota Payne. Then to wrap up this race, you've got Scout Lewis from Windsor, again, coming straight out of a 500, so hopefully she'll have some energy left, versus Marissa Figueroa. So you do see Dakota Payne getting Windsor back that lead. A lot of back and forth in this relay. Marissa's going to have to go for it if she wants to get Forks the victory here. Marissa's off the blocks. Can she make up the distance? We will see. Meanwhile, you've got relays from Forks in lanes 2 and 1 going along. You've got the third swimmer going in lane 1 and the fourth swimmer about to go in lane 2. It's Marissa closing the distance on Scout. Marissa passes her, and if she can hold that up, Marissa will close out the race with a first place for Chenango Forks. A strong finish, head under the water, arm extended, and Forks will get first place with a time of 1:57 88. Windsor put up a great fight there, holding the lead in 2 out of the 4 legs of that relay. And they do finish second with a time of 2 minutes and 1/100th of a second, so almost 2 minutes flat. Kaylee Young wrapping up the Forks second relay down here in lane 2. And we do have Erin Wilson about to start her 50, which will be the last leg of the lane 1 relay for Chenango Forks. There's Erin off the blocks. Kaylee Young finishing that relay for a time of 2:35.96. And now it's just up to Erin to finish her 50, and the race will conclude. So we don't have splits here. I could be doing math, but that's too much work to do along with announcing. But certainly good races from a lot of those Forks and Windsor swimmers. Those results will be released by the coaches, I'm sure, probably tomorrow or Saturday. Relays, it's a little harder to tell exactly who went what speed, unless you're keeping track at home and doing some math with the timing board down there in your bottom left corner of your screen. Here's Erin Wilson finishing out the relay for Forks in lane 1. And results are as follows. Forks in first and third place, netting them 10 points from that relay. And Windsor getting second place for 4 points. Up next, we have the 100-yard backstroke. For Forks, and for the first time she's ever swum this, Emily Wilson in lane 1, Allison Dell in lane 2, and Sam Williams in lane 3. Then for Windsor, we have Amelia Jensen in lane 4, and Caitlin McLaughlin in lane 5. Looks like we've got, based on the 4 seat times we have, a very good race ahead of us here. All 4 ladies very close to each other in seat time. So we'll see if we can do that again. We did just see Amelia do a 500. So hopefully she's got some energy left at the end of that. As a previous distance swimmer, it is tough to come out of a distance race and then be in anything for the next 10 or 15 minutes because you just don't have it in you a lot of times. So unless she regularly swims the backstroke and the 500, she may be pretty tired at the start of this, but we'll see how they do. Good starts from the ladies, and they're off. It is Allison Dell off to an aggressive start here, giving her a lead over the other 4. Now this race is 100 yards long, so they have to go 4 lengths back and forth. We'll see sort of how this plays out as they go through. Allison Dell, a diver, so if she can hold on to that speed, she'll be in a good position. But because she trains swimming less than some of the other ladies, we might not expect the same level of conditioning. Already her turnover rate in her arms slowing down, but she's got a nice consistent kick keeping her in first place. And Sam Williams right next to her in second place, who Allison did take a tiny stroke there once she was on her front. The official is going to see it and raise a hand signaling she would have gotten disqualified. So it's a shame to see it, but again, Allison with very little swimming experience coming in as a diver, some of these little technical things that we can clean up moving forward. It'll still be nice to see her time. She is still leading the race, although she won't get points for first if she finishes in first. Now it's Sam Williams and Caitlin McLaughlin battling in lanes 3 and 5. And Caitlin with a faster turn, but Sam up to the surface a little faster. They are very, very close to one another. You've got Emily Wilson in lane 1 going along, closing in on the 75-yard mark. And Amelia Jensen in lane 4. So Allison is on the wall first, but would have been disqualified. I assume that's why I saw that hand raised. With a time of 1:29, not at all a bad time, but worth no points. And that actually means Windsor's swimmer will get bumped up to 6 points for first place, despite finishing second, because the person who beat her will have been disqualified. So the time of 1:32, that is a personal best for Caitlin. Definitely a personal best for Allison, but again, technically it won't count because of the turn she did at the 50-yard mark. Yep, the officials are now signaling lane 2 disqualified for an extra stroke. I saw it, they saw it, so they're going to call her on it. It's a shame, but definitely a learning experience. Allison, new to swimming this year, and again, a diver, so not a ton of time spent on these little technical parts of the strokes. Results will be not that. There we go. You can bump all of those numbers up by 1 because of the disqualification in lane 2. So Windsor coming in 1st and 3rd. Forks in 2nd and 4th. Up next is the 100-yard breaststroke. Olivia McPeak in lane 2 and Anna Hillis in lane 3. Then Denise Kobe in lane 4 for Windsor with a very fast seed time, and Scout Lewis out in lane 5. That was the first time Emily Wilson had ever swum the 100 backstroke, so definitely good to see that she can do it. Now, based on seed times and what I've seen from Denise Kobe so far, she's quite fast. We expect her to sort of take off without the competition in this race. Again, based on seed times, Anna Hillis should come comfortably in 2nd, and the real race will be the lanes 2 and 5, between lanes 2 and 5. Now, the hard part about this is breaststroke, the head should be in a forward position at all times, and depending on which direction the swimmers do their turn, they may not even see. Now, you do see Scout peeking a couple glances over, spying Olivia right there with her. So she does have that information, and Olivia, keeping her eyes forward and being slightly ahead, will not have the information about Scout. But Olivia's open turn lets her get a quick glance to her side. I think she probably saw Scout out there right with her. So at the 50-yard mark, these two ladies know, both of them know, that this race is close. As expected, we have Denise Kobe coming very comfortably in 1st now with about 12 yards left until the finish. A nice long glide, powerful kick in the breaststroke are getting her a very, very good time here. And she will be on the wall for Windsor with a time of 1:19. 1:19. Anna Hillis coming in here. Just about on the wall. She will drop time down to a 1:31, so dropping about 3 seconds. It is incredibly close between Olivia and Scout. Scout sneaking looks over. You don't like to see it as a coach, but it does give her that information. The volume of the crowd could also be signaling these two. It's going to come down to who's got the longer finish, and it is Scout able to get that stroke timed correctly, so she will come in 3rd and Olivia in 4th. Good races from all the swimmers. Here are your times. Windsor 1st and 3rd. Chenango Forks 2nd and 4th. Up next is the final relay of the meet, the 400-yard freestyle relay. So in this event, each swimmer has to do 100 yards of freestyle. Unlike the previous relays where each swimmer did 50, this time they've got to each do 4 laps. So in lane 2, Stephanie Hall, Jocelyn Hall, no relation to Stephanie Hall, Josie Cornell, and Kaylee Young, each doing 100 yards freestyle. In lane 3, Gabby Backman, Olivia McPeak, Samantha Williams, and Angie Forster. And in lane 4 for Windsor, Anna Hines, Caitlin McLaughlin, Amelia Jensen, and someone that isn't Anna DeJohn, because based on my... in fact, there is no relay for Windsor. I'm just not paying attention. I was about to say Anna DeJohn hasn't been here for any of the previous races, so someone would have substituted in for her there, but Windsor's got a slightly smaller team, which makes it harder for them to fill those gaps when they're missing someone. It is spring break, so, not entirely unexpected for teams to be missing swimmers. Gabby Backman off to a comfortable lead. This race will be between Forks and Forks, and the 2 relays are seeded. I don't have actual times down for each of them, but you would expect lane 3 to win comfortably. Stephanie Hall in lane 2 swimming without goggles, it looks like, so that hurts, both physically and time-wise. Gabby Backman, turn number 3. Coming into the last 25 yards. Following her will be Olivia McPeak from Chenango Forks. Going second in lane 2 will be Jocelyn Hall. Lane 3 after a comfortable lead. Gabby coming in at around 112. And Stephanie 123 flat. Not a bad time, especially considering she lost her goggles and is a diver. We do have our divers swim sometimes because they are, well, the ones that are good at swimming, we have them swim because it's always nice to have them contribute. Even divers are allowed up to 4 events. Diving counts as one of their events. It is one of their individual ones, but they're still allowed to do 3 others. Olivia making an open turn there at lane 3. Slower than a flip turn, but no competition from Windsor, so not necessarily going to hurt her position in this race. The only thing that hurts is her own time. But again, Olivia just came out of a 100-yard breaststroke not 2 or 3 minutes ago, so I'm sure her body's hurting for air right now. Olivia starting lap 4 here, about to come in and be followed by Sam Williams. Jocelyn Hall starting the second half of her race. Here's Olivia coming into the wall with what energy she's got left. Sam Williams is off that block. Now the timing pad did not stop, but I think that was around, the time it stopped at is not accurate. Should have been around 2:37, so Olivia's time about 125-ish. 125-ish. Again, coming out of the race right before that, she's definitely out of energy. So she has swam faster before, but that's all right. Sam Williams coming in to finish the 50 out of 100-yard mark, and Jocelyn Hall being cheered on by her twin sister there. Lane 2 coming in, it'll be Josie Cornell going 3rd in lane 2 as soon as Jocelyn gets on that wall. And 100 yards done. So Sam Williams finishing up her 100 here, about 10 yards left. Powering into the wall, and going last it will be Angie Forster. Now, if memory serves me right, I believe Angie won the 100-yard freestyle, so certainly good at this event. 3:56.11. With Sam Williams' estimated time right around 1:19, 1:20. Again, hard to say because as Olivia finished, she didn't hit the pad correctly. She reached over the top of it, so the clock didn't stop. But Angie off to a solid start here. Breathing every stroke, a little bit slower, but again, not unexpected in 100. Coaches like to see swimmers breathe to both sides. Bilateral breathing or rotary breathing helps build the muscles a little bit more equally instead of always breathing to one side. You've got Josie Cornell down here in lane 2. As she touches this wall, Kaylee Young, diver for Forks, will be taking off to do 100 yards and finish that relay. Here's Angie Forster closing in on the wall to wrap it up. The 5-minute mark just passing. Now Angie's time in the 100, I think, was around 1:12. So we'll see how she does here. The relay's time, 5:10. So that'll put Angie right around a 1:14. Not a bad time for the final swim of her meet. Again, swimmers are allowed up to 4 events. So by the time you're on event 4, 1 hour, maybe 1.5 hours into a meet, you're certainly running low on energy. It's rare that people get personal best times in this relay. Kaylee Young coming in with 50 yards left. I did miss the split between Josie's finish and Kaylee's start, so I don't have times for either of them. I apologize for that. But the relay in lane 2 should be finishing right around 6.5 minutes-ish. Kaylee using what energy she's got left. Again, not supremely conditioned as a diver, doesn't spend a ton of time swimming, but it's nice to have her able to fill in these roles because up to 2 lanes can score per team in a relay. So no matter how fast or slow they go, as long as Windsor is not taking those points, Forks will pick them up for free. And there it is. 6:32:28, the final time for the relay in lane 2 from Chenango Forks. A little bit of back of the envelope math here. I have Forks 92, Windsor 64 is the final score. But again, I may have missed some disqualifications, things like that would adjust that score. So I'll get an official score to you in about 3 minutes if you want to hold on. But we are going to mute the audio here while they wrap up the meet. And the coach has a couple words with the swimmers, and then I'll come back to you with an official score in just a couple minutes. All right, we're back. I forgot to add the scores in from the 500 there, so there's some deliberation. All three officials had a different score than me and the table, so we had 5 different scores, but went back through, compared results, final score, Chenango Forks 98, Windsor 71. Chenango Forks 98, Windsor 71 is the official score. So great work to both teams, a relatively close meet. That'll do it for us here from the Chenango Forks pool, and we will see you next meet. We have a modified meet coming up on Tuesday against Chenango Valley at 5:30 p.m.